Hello friends, here I am again for another rehearsal and final take all in one sitting. That's how I do this, completely unscripted, and that's probably why the finished product is always as bad as it is. Well, hopefully you disagree. Anyhow, what I'd like to discuss today is what little I know that's going on, because as I had mentioned in earlier recordings, I don't have cable. I'm a cord cutter, which means I just have over-the-air signals. I have an antenna that pulls in about 62 channels, and I could probably get a few more, maybe another 10 to 20 more if I get an antenna mounted on my roof. But anyway, I digress. The one thing that I did hear on the news, because to finish making the point about over-the-air channels, there isn't a lot of news, at least not all day long news. The news is in the morning and in the evening, and that's it, and a lot of it is local news. But one thing that I did hear about this week is that the Republicans in the House have introduced a tax reform bill of sorts, or just a tax cut bill. And I was thinking to myself, oh, how nice, the Republicans are working for a change. They've decided to finally do something for a change. And of course, they are the party in power right now, so the party out of power, the Democrats, of course, are objecting, and on the basis that they don't know how it's going to be paid for. And I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me? You are going to try to make me feel guilty because there is a bill that's going to allow me to keep more of my money rather than have to pay it to Uncle Sam? No, I don't feel bad about it, and I really resent that argument being made. Let me tell you something, all right? If you are a person who is completely helpless, you have no ambition in life, you want to be taken care of, then that party, the Democratic Party, is for you. Keep voting for them. However, just look around you, and you'll see people. You will see people as bad off as you are, but you'll also see people leading a much better life than you. Ask them if they're living off the government to do that. I doubt it. The government can never collect enough money from the rich to give it to the poor, okay? It makes sense that there's going to be more poor people than there are rich people, all right? That's Robin Hood, okay? That's a fairy tale. That doesn't happen, okay? You can confiscate all the money and property from the rich people. You're never going to have enough of it to give to the poor people, okay? So what the government does is gives out these little checks and dribs and drabs to the lazy people and the people that genuinely need it because for whatever reason they can't work. But it's never really enough to lead a good life. It's just enough to get by. Now, some of you, unfortunately, that is your situation. You know, you're disabled, and for whatever reason, you're not able to work, and you need to be supported by your family, and if you don't have any, by the government. It's the right thing to do. We have to have a safety net in this country. Can't have people living in the streets going hungry, okay? We're not going to do that. We can't allow that to happen, all right? But there's a lot of able-bodied people that can go to work, and I think you should try to do that rather than just live off of welfare, okay? And if you do that, and you have the government that comes along and takes money out of your paycheck, it's going to make it harder for you to live the kind of life that you want. So when you have politicians that come along and say, okay, look, we're going to stop collecting as much money from you. We're going to stop taking as much money out of your paycheck. That is something that should be applauded, all right? Let us keep more of our money, and if we can do that, we won't really depend on you so much, okay? It's like having, having these politicians take more money out of our paychecks and then give it back to us for social welfare that we may or may not even need is kind of like mom and dad saying, we can't trust you with your money, so we're going to hold on to it, and we're going to pay for what we think you need, okay? It's not a good way to live, all right? So when you hear this stuff on the news that they're worried about how to pay for it, okay, don't buy that, all right? They're making it sound like it's their money and they're going to give it to us. It's not. The money that's in Washington comes from we the people. All right. So I'm just not buying it, and I don't think any of you should. Okay. Those of you who are disabled or not even, I won't even say that, because I think all politicians believe in what I referred to earlier as a safety net. All of them believe that there needs to be some welfare to help people that aren't able to help themselves. I, for example, have been unemployed at times. I've collected unemployment, okay? I've applied and been approved for EBT, okay? And I've used those food stamps while I've been out of work. All right, but I didn't stop looking for work because I had unemployment insurance that I was collecting, and because I didn't have to buy food, I continued looking. So those things are supposed to be temporary until you can get back on your feet. All right, I remember back in what they called the Great Recession in 2008, 2009. I didn't work for a long time. A lot of us didn't, and I got kind of comfortable in that misery of getting unemployment and getting food stamps, and it was hard to go back to work. So that's why it's important to make people just a little uncomfortable when they are collecting stuff for the government as an incentive to go and do things on their own, because people can take much better care of themselves than the government can. All right, trust me. If you're listening to me and you are someone that's been collecting money from the government, okay, I'm not trying to make you feel bad about yourself, saying that you should be ashamed of yourself or anything like that, all right? There are circumstances that probably warranted you doing it, but think about your future. You can't go on doing that forever. I mean, think about how your life has been. Is it really that good? Couldn't it be better? Think about what you need to do to make your life better. You probably need to go and work. But trust me, it's not a bad thing. It's really rewarding, and I've talked about this in the past, to be able to buy your own things, not have to answer to nobody. Nobody's done you any favors. You don't have to repay anyone. You don't have anyone holding that over your head that they did this or that for you. All right, complete independence and is something that we inherently want, and it's comfortable laying around the house and doing nothing and just playing video games or watching TV. I get it. I mean, it is. But we all want more out of life, and we have to make some sacrifices. And we'll all be better for it. So anyway, I'm sorry if I sound like a scratch record. I don't know. This reminds me of things I've talked about in the past. But it's worth retelling over and over again until it sinks in and more people start enjoying life by doing more for themselves. It is better. I'm not saying we shouldn't help each other. We should. But it's not unlimited help for the rest of anyone's lives. It's only during a short period of time. If it's forever, it's for those people that really can't do it by themselves. And there there isn't as many of those people as you would be led to believe, based on, how many people you see out there with cell phones and gliding around in nice cars, yet paying for their groceries and food stamps. Okay? So anyway, thanks for your time, and we'll do it again soon.